So welcome back guys to We Talk Boxing. And today I'm going to be giving you guys my thoughts in regards to the fight which took place on the weekend between Artur Beterbiev versus Callum Smith. Now I hoped most of you guys watched this fight. It was on here in the UK quite early hours in the morning. So obviously would have meant either staying up throughout the night or maybe getting up really early just to catch the fight. But from my perspective, it was a good fight to stay up for, and there was a couple of good undercard fights on the bill as well. So, yeah, overall, a pretty decent event. But anyway, let's get back to my thoughts in regards to this matchup between both guys. I thought it was a brilliant performance from Artur Beterbiev. He now goes 20-0 with 20 KOs to his name, and he still is the WBO, WBC, and IBF champion. And from my, from my point of view, he is, I'd say, the main man in the division. This guy is, he's 39. Is it this month, next month, whenever it is, and to put on a performance like what he did against the younger man and someone who I thought would have given him a lot more trouble. It was a total domination from Artur Beterbiev. I always knew in the back of my mind and deep down that he would win and that he would stop Callum Smith, and that's what I said in my pre-fight video. But I didn't see it happening the way it did. And the reason for that is because Artur Beterbiev, he brought the fight to Callum Smith. Rather than starting how he normally starts, and not slow, but more of a relaxed pace. He just comes out and just eases into it sort of thing, at the first couple of rounds, and then he kind of wears his man down. By 5 and 6, he hurts him and knocks them out sort of thing. This time he came out from round 1 and he pushed Smith back, and Smith, sorry, was on the back foot, and he didn't really know what to do because this guy was bringing it to him, and at times he was catching him, and I'm sure he caught him with a lot more power punches in that first round. So as I said, yeah, it was a very fast start from Beterbiev, and Smith was quite shocked from that first round, and even after that first round had gone and the bell had rung. Just looking at Smith's face, he looked uncomfortable and he was starting to bruise already, which was quite savage, really. I was like, whoa, this guy's a mad puncher, Beterbiev. But for me, Beterbiev, overall, his jab was excellent. His foot movement to gauge that distance, to get within range was brilliant because he kept Smith at range and he dictated the pace. As soon as Smith started to try and get a little bit of success, which wasn't much, he would then up the antiques and pull it on Smith, and his jab was like a right hand. Beterbiev's jab is brilliant. As I said, it was like a right hand. That's how powerful it was. And every time he kept catching Smith with that jab, he was hurting him. And you could see how uncomfortable it was for Smith every time he kept getting caught. But his movement as well. He hasn't got the best of movements. He hasn't got Bivol type movement after Beterbiev, but he's got better movement than what Smith has. Smith's quite heavy-footed. He doesn't really move or glide around the ring as other fighters, and it is what it is. Some fighters, every fighter's got their own traits. But I think the one thing that impressed me the most about Artur Beterbiev, he's taking on, the mandatory challenger, pretty much the number 1 for his belt. And the composure and the patience that he had, in this fight was brilliant. Even when, as I said, what little Callum Smith put on him, like what little success he had, Beterbiev was so relaxed, and he was just like, okay, cool, you do what you got to do, and then that's fine. Let me do what I've got to do, and let's see who kind of, comes out on top. And it was just brilliant to watch because it looked like nothing fazed him. This fight against Smith was a lot easier for Artur Beterbiev than what he had against Anthony Yarde. I know different styles makes fights, and what Anthony Yarde did to Beterbiev and what Smith did are two different things, but I didn't see it happening like that. I honestly thought Callum Smith would have come out, and maybe do a little bit more, because he's got a good jab, Smith. He's got a really good jab, but his jab looked like it didn't even touch Beterbiev. His jab wasn't null and void. That's how poor his jab was in my eyes. And he's, you know what I mean, for a big guy like that, his corner was saying go to the body. And when you're that tall and you're trying to go to a body, yeah, you could do it, but it's a bit awkward because you're having to drop down and you know what I mean, throw some body shots, which you can do it, but it's harder for the taller man. Whereas if you know what I mean, if you're not as quick or you don't get out too quick, you're gonna get countered, and that's sometimes what happened in this fight. Whereas from my perspective, if I was a corner, I would have said, look, jab, jab, uppercut, jab, jab, right hand uppercut, or something like that. Do you know what I mean? Throw more uppercuts because Beterbiev is the smaller man, and I feel as if you probably would have had some success if you would have thrown that uppercut and tried to land it on Beterbiev. But his punch power as well, Smith's punch power didn't really affect Beterbiev. It's like Beterbiev had all that, you know what I mean, he absorbed punches like that in training or in previous fights, and it was just like, okay, cool, that's it. Is that all you got, sort of thing? So yeah, it was a brilliant performance from Artur Beterbiev. You know what I mean? He dropped Smith twice in the seventh. Heavy, 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 heavy knockdowns. You know what I mean? And the first one, I was like, nah, he ain't gonna get back up from this. And he managed to somehow get back up. And the second one, I was like, the referee is gonna stop it. You know what I mean? He didn't have much longer to go. And then obviously the fight got stopped in the eighth. And it was, yeah, about right, really, from my point of view, because the fight was only going one way. Smith was hurt. You could see that he couldn't do anything. And it wasn't so much of a poor performance from Smith. It wasn't a poor performance because Beterbiev does this to everyone. Every fighter that he's been in with, he's done what he did to Smith to everyone else. Same as Anthony Yarde. Anthony Yarde had a lot more success than what Smith did. But eventually, you know what I mean, Arthur got to him. Beterbiev got to him. You know what I mean? And that's how I kind of see it with this light heavyweight division. And what we all want to see now is the Bivol fight between Artur Beterbiev and Bivol. And apparently, you know what I mean, this fight is so close. And we should see it, hopefully, this year. Whether it be in March, which might not happen because of Ramadan. You know what I mean? We may see it after that. We may see it sometime in the summer. But I hope we do see it. And after that performance, where in my pre-fight video, I was like, you know what I mean? I don't know how Beterbiev's going to come back because obviously he's had quite a lot of surgery. He's had a lot of injuries. He hasn't been as active. Do you know what I mean? Like, after doing what he did against Smith and the way he did it, I'm putting him as favourite in that Bivol fight. Bivol's a brilliant fighter. You know, he's got good movement, good hand speed, good combinations. But the one thing I feel as if he hasn't got is the power. And yes, you know what I mean, everyone's got power, all boxers got power, but I don't feel as if he's got the power to trouble Artur Beterbiev. I feel as if Bivol's best chance of winning is to stay away and just box, hit and move. Similar type of performance what he kind of put up against Canelo. He has to do a similar type of performance, but not mix it at all. But it's quite hard because if you're fighting against someone like a Beterbiev, you know what I mean? He just keeps coming forward, and he's relaxed, he's patient, he's composed. You know what I mean? Even when you're catching and throwing your shots, etc., he's like, that's fine. I'm gonna get to you. I'm gonna get to you. And then boom, 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 he lands a few shots which hurt you, and he's like, okay, cool. You throw more shots. Yeah, that's fine. I'm gonna get to you. Bang, 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 and it hurts you again. And all the time he keeps catching you with his power punches or his little tippy tappies, then power punches. He's hurting you, and he's zapping your energy, and eventually it accumulates, and you somehow get stopped. And you know what I mean? I feel as if the fight against Beterbiev, obviously I will do pre and post fight videos, etc. But I just feel as if Beterbiev, from my point of view, is favourite for that. I feel as if he will at some point get to Bivol late in the fight. But obviously Bivol is a champion and he's one of the best. He's ranked number 3 or 4 or whatever in the pound for pound, and so he has got a chance. But I feel as if his chance is to box rather than stand there and try and trade. I'll tell you another thing as well. What played a big factor in this fight for Beterbiev was the ring size. Can't remember the actual dimensions of what they said in commentary before the fight, but I'm sure it was like 18 foot or whatever. You know what I mean? The size of the ring, which normally I think it's a lot bigger. It's like 20 or 24 or something like that. I'm sure that's what they said on the commentary. So it's a smaller ring, which I feel as if played a big part in the fight because Smith had nowhere to go. When he was getting lit up, you know what I mean? He couldn't go anywhere because the ring was a bit smaller, and every time he tried to take a back pedal, like he was on the ropes, and that's where Beterbiev wanted it. Whereas if the ring was a little bit bigger, he maybe could have probably tried to use a bit more movement, even though his footwork ain't brilliant. He could have probably tried to maybe move back or get out of the way a little bit more within the fight. So I just feel as if that played a little bit of, you know what I mean, a little bit of a part within the fight. But anyhow, Beterbiev is the champ still, the man in the division. We all want to see the Bivol fight next. Hopefully we could get it. But depending on how long Beterbiev has got left, he knows how long he's got left. But depending on how long he's got left and the outcome of the Bivol fight, if Beterbiev is still the man in the division and he does beat Bivol, and he wants one last payday, I'd love him to maybe try and fight, you know what I mean, Opetaya. I know Opetaya got stripped of his belt, but I still consider him the main man in that division. So it'd be good to see if that fight could ever happen, because I feel as if Opetaya is obviously, he's big, he's got power as well, he's got good movement, good hand speed. He's pretty much a Bivol, but with power. And not dissing Bivol. Bivol's got power, but I feel as if Opetaya's got a bit more power, and obviously he's a bigger guy as well. But anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts in regards to this fight on the weekend between Smith and Beterbiev. You know what I mean? Did you see it the way I saw it? Who would you like Smith to go up against next? Do you feel as if he should continue boxing, or do you feel as if he needs to retire? And what about Beterbiev? Do you want him to go up against Bivol next, or do you feel as if he needs to take a fight in between? Let me know your thoughts. As always, guys, please subscribe and comment. Bless.